What is going on here?
Yes, I wonder. That's a funny picture.
When is it? Where was it taken?
This is in Krakow, in southern Poland. I think it's 1975, so it's a long time back, 50 years ago. And this was something the Poles would call Juwenalia, which in English would be, I guess, a rag week. It's when the students take over a city and are allowed to do almost anything. The police doesn't look at them, or nobody bothers them. They can play as much as they want, fool around,
dress up,
do silly things, dress up. And this is just one moment from that 1975 rag week when, but it's not often you see a young girl holding
leading a bull by the nose.
By the nose, yes, on a leash. But this is the way they played. It was actually a very. I'm not sure how long it took. I mean, how many days it lasted, but.
It's a week, right?
Well, in English, it's rag week, they call it, but in Poland, whether it's a week, I'm not sure. But they certainly have fun. They do silly things, like even changing the color of the fountains in the main square. The fountains are normally just water, and suddenly they were all green. So they would do really odd things. But they're allowed to do anything, and everybody has a good time. So, and this is precisely a measure of that good time. A young woman with a bull on a leash, well, a man dressed as a bull.
And you just happened to be in Krakow, or did you know this was going to happen?
I think I knew that there was this Juwenalia was going to happen, and I thought maybe it's worthwhile having a look. And it was actually. It was.
So these are not your friends, and not, as someone suggested, my parents are Juwenalia.
Me and my wife. No, it could be, of course. Right now, it could be quite similar. No, I have no idea who this is, and certainly I have no idea who the bull is.
So what else would you see? People would everyone dress up, or was it just...
People were dressed up. They would dress up as, God, they'd paint their faces, play guitars, music, everything. Dance around the local militiamen.
And they were allowed to do that?
They wouldn't do anything.
Really?
They couldn't stop them. So no, it's... and if you think it's 1975, the sort of the heart of communism or socialism in Poland.
It looks very carefree.
And suddenly very carefree, absolutely.
But I mean, that's one of the things that you liked about Poland, and that's what kept you in Poland, was the company and the fun you guys had. Yes, I think whatever one says about the political situation in Poland and the economic situation in Poland in the 70s and later on in the 80s, in the 70s there was a sort of a fair amount of carefree atmosphere. Difficult to explain really right now. Maybe because I'm much older now, I can't imagine it happening. But in those days, it was just natural. People would just have fun. And you had fun?
As a photographer, I had to sort of keep my eye on what was happening.
But as a photographer,
but I could see the fun that was happening.
Yeah, but I mean, you also had a private life and a gang of friends here, and I remember stories of you cavorting and frolicking in fountains. And
well, yes, true. But I never wore a bull's head on my head.
Not that you remember.
Not that I remember exactly.
So, what was the social scene like for you at the time? I mean, outside of your work, you had a...
I liked the young people in Poland.
Because you'd come from London, from the swinging 60s.
Yes. I have to remember in the swinging 60s, I was in a Catholic Benedictine Abbey boarding school.
Not swinging.
In Hereford, so I wasn't really swinging. So I missed all the fun, but...
so you made up for it in Warsaw?
I made up for it, but I just like the way... the young people in Poland behaved. I liked the way the students behaved in the sense that the student life was very, very, very tight. I mean, they would study together, they would play together, they would go on holiday together. They would live nearby. I mean, for some reason, it was completely different from the way I studied in London, where I lived at home, which perhaps was a mistake, but in West London, whereas the London College of Printing, where I studied photography, was in Elephant and Castle, which was miles away on the other side of London. So because I lived at home, I never really sort of entered joined the life of the students. But I'm not sure what sort of life they had as well. Maybe if you were studying in Oxford or something, or Cambridge, then of course that's a different story, or in any sort of university town. But in London, which is as big as it is, with several universities and so on and colleges, I just never felt as close to any of the students or anything to do with my studies. Whereas here, as I say, everybody sort of played and had fun together and studied together.
But how were you introduced into Warsaw society? I mean, how did you start making friends here, meeting people and having fun?
How to make friends and influence people. That's well, you know, when you're young, this comes easily, of course.
No, but you had family here. I
had family. Yes, I felt quite safe with, because I had two uncles and two aunts. Well, actually, eventually one uncle and two aunts and cousins. And so yes, I guess they led me into sort of the society, the student sort of groups and so on. So I just found it completely different from London life, in the sense that London was, everything was easy. You could buy anything you wanted. You could go anywhere you wanted. You could fly anywhere you wanted. Whereas these people, they couldn't fly where they wanted, they couldn't go where they wanted, they couldn't buy anything really. If they wanted something, they had to really fight for it or work out how to or make it. I mean, and because everybody was really, apart from the party members, the Communist Party members, everybody was against the party. So all the jokes and all life in the cities was simply centered around trying to make fun of the communist system or trying to get around it or something. So they had other things on their minds, rather. Whereas in London, all my friends, if the only problem they had was which pub to go to in the evening, and I mean that was then. And
so was there this?
I was never a beer drinker, so I never went to pubs.
So was there this sense of dread hanging over you, over these young people? Or?
No. I think all in all, if you consider the fact that they had this awful system over their heads, both political and economic, they behaved very carefree and quite happy. I mean, happy is a difficult thing to say about other people, but it was just, maybe it's just nostalgia on my part that I don't miss the communism, and I don't miss the party, and I don't miss the political and economic system, but I do miss the fact that I was young then, simply, and maybe that's it. It's a simple case of nostalgia from when you were young.
But this carefree spirit, I mean, it did eventually come to...
It came to head when eventually in the 80s the students were striking. They would occupy the universities and sleep for weeks or days, weeks or months even. They would occupy the universities and the colleges.
But even Juwenalia...
But I think that was fun as well, in the sense that when there's all these groups of students in their college or in their university, sleeping in sleeping bags or on mattresses in the lecture classes, I mean, that's also fun in a way. I mean, as much as they were fighting for freedom of speech and for everything, really. It was just, I just found it impressive, of course.
But even the Juwenalia, even before 1980, I remember you talking about how this atmosphere couldn't really continue after the death of one of their fellow students.
Yes, one of the students was killed. Well, we never know whether he was killed by the secret police or whether he died in an accident, fell off some stairs or whatever. It's never been quite clear as what happened, but for some reason, everybody thought that he must have been killed by the secret police.
And this was who?
P.S. was his surname, as far as I remember. And he was actually killed very, very close to where the shot was taken. Or he died. No, I'm not sure whether it was the Rag Week then. But the students took it to heart, and the Rag Week was never, as far as I can remember, was never as much fun after this particular Rag Week as in later years. And then, of course, 1980, the birth of Solidarity, the Pope, important, of course. Then the birth of Solidarity, martial law, everything went wrong, and Poland started going downhill in terms of the atmosphere. And the happiness of the people if they were no longer happy. But even things like the 1st of May parade, which in a way you had to go to it if you wanted to keep your job or you keep your students place in a college or something, you had to be very careful not to make enemies by not turning up on the May the 1st parade, which is
that was
the parade of the workers, of course, workers' holiday. But that was also in the 70s. That was also could have been fun. I mean, comparing it to being a witness to both the 70s and the 80s. In the 80s, after martial law and so on, these May Day parades were very sort of depressing and sad, really. Whereas in the 70s, it was still, maybe they weren't happy to be there, these people, but
there wasn't such a drag.
There was somewhere along the line, it was they could have a bit of fun. Because again, it was a workers' holiday, so they could behave more freely and so on. So there is a big difference between the 70s and the 80s. Yes, I quite agree with that.
And this is 1975.
I think this was 1975. Yes, so a long time ago, and I was a young man then.
Let me just grab a book. So this picture I remember seeing in this book that I had something to do with. And let's see what it says. This is
exactly, that's the police. They're dressed up in gardeners' costumes and running circles around police.
Well, here it says that these are students dressed up.
Well, exactly. I'm not sure where that caption came from, but they're certainly not students dressed up as policemen or militiamen. They're real militiamen, and they're pretending to have fun, of course.
And again, this shot would have been impossible today, at least impossible to publish such a close portrait of someone.
Well, that's terrible news, of course, yeah, because that's what a photographer looks for. He looks for faces and expressions and emotions and so on. And yet, if the law now stops you photographing people, so to show who are showing emotions or who are showing some sort of expression, or you can photograph them, but you can't publish them, and I find that terrible. I mean, it's just the death of street photography, really. But all these pictures are from that thing, from those times.
And what are they doing here?
Well, there's a banknote here, sort of enlarged to huge sizes, with a face where you could actually put your own face into the face of the hero on the bank of 100 zloty banknote. Yeah, well, the ideas were limitless, really. And they're all running around in the carriage.
Some sort of push cart.
Yes, I mean, probably making fun of the Polish Fiat 126 car, the small Fiat, and this thing careering around the street, going sideways almost.
She's about to crash into you.
Well, almost, yes. She had to be careful.
Is someone pushing her, or is...
I think so, yes. I'm not sure if she's driving herself. But you could expect anything, of course. But remember that I was in 75. I'd been in Poland for only 1.5 years, or even after. So I was still fairly new to Poland. So I was interested in everything. If I heard about something which could be interesting, I went there simply because I guess curiosity is one of the things which keep photographers going.
Do you ever miss your days of glory in the 1970s in Warsaw, and all those parties, all those people, that atmosphere?
I mean, I'm glad I went through it, actually. I'm glad I could be part of it. So I don't miss it in the sense that I don't want to have sort of all these parties all the time now. But yes, I guess it is part of my life, and it was part of my life due to an odd decision. I decided in '73 to come here just for a few months, and I never went back to England.
Well, I'm glad you stayed.
And I've never regretted a single day I've been here. I mean, this is 50-odd years. And it was a good decision, but it wasn't a mistake, but it was just something which wasn't supposed to happen.
It's a good thing you stayed.
Yeah, here I am.